What's up, guys? It's a little back on our video here on Solo Hoops. Now today we got to talk about the Golden State Warriors. There's a lot of things going on surrounding this team. The trade market is heating up for them. Are they going to trade for certain other stars across the league? Are they going to trade some of their young stars? Will they see Kuminga, go to another team? Can Steve Kerr figure out what lineups he needs to run, because he looks a little bit confused? Is this dynasty over, or do the Warriors have one to maybe 2-3 more good runs in them in the playoffs? We're going to talk about all that today. If you guys haven't already, make sure to go down below and make sure you're subbed up. We're on the road to 2K subs. First things first, before we talk about the Warriors, we got to kind of set the scene. I know there's going to be a lot of, diehard Warriors fans watching this video, and there's going to be some people that really don't know what's going on. So the Warriors are currently the 12th seed. They're 17-9, well, I guess one game technically, because you see 9 games back, 8 games back. They're one game out of the play-in behind the Lakers, and the Jazz are in front of them right now. That is honestly embarrassing as a Warriors fan. All the teams in the top 10, they're good teams. It's, it's fine that these teams are above them, but the Jazz cannot be above you if you're the Warriors and you still are trying to win. You got Curry, Clay, Draymond's about to come back. The Jazz really have nothing. I mean, they do have someone that we're about to talk about, and you probably know who that is. And if you've been watching the Warriors this season, they're very up and down. They started out kind of hot. They were 6-2 to start the year. They had a few big wins, but it is early. Teams are still trying to figure out stuff. They beat, the Kings twice. They beat the Rockets, the Pelicans. But as of late, they don't really have any big wins. They did beat the Magic. That was, of course, at home. Not sure if they're capable of winning in Orlando right now. They also beat Boston in Golden State. That was probably their biggest win of the year. But other than that, it's just been kind of a mid-year. They just beat bad teams. When they verse a good team, they usually lose. Obviously, I'm a Warriors fan, so I want to make more videos about them. That's the team that I probably want to talk about the most. But after watching this game, Raptors versus Warriors, what was it, 2 days ago now? I was going to post it right away, but then we had the Ja Morant and the Halliburton injury, so I made a video about that. So today, we're finally talking about it. But after I saw this game right here, I was like, something needs to change. This is not okay. This game right here was crazy. At least watching it for me, being a Warriors fan, for one, it felt like the Raptors couldn't miss. The Warriors could not get a stop if their life depended on it. RJ Barrett went for 37. You had Dennis Schroeder hitting shots like crazy, Gary Trent Jr., Siakam, just everybody, bro. It was like they couldn't miss. And then, of course, on the Warriors side of things, Curry had one of the worst games of his career. He was 2 for 14. 0 for 9 from 3. Klay Thompson was the only reason that the Warriors were in this game. And then Steve Kerr, I believe it was like at the beginning of the 4th, maybe it was late in the 3rd, when the Warriors were really climbing back into this game and they were giving themselves a chance. Klay was red hot. He takes Klay out of the game. And it's like, Steve Kerr's done a lot of things this year that honestly are questionable. I've been trying to defend him as much as I can because I do think he's a great coach, but I feel like it's becoming a little clear that he's a little bit confused with this team. So obviously the Warriors are going to try to make a trade, but what do they have to trade? Obviously, you got Steph Curry at the top. You're not trading him. You're building around him. Klay Thompson, some people say trade Klay. They're not going to trade him either, so we should just speed past that. Jonathan Kuminga is the 3rd highest scorer on this team, ahead of Andrew Wiggins, who is being paid like a star. Andrew Wiggins probably has one of the worst contracts in the entire NBA. Some people say trade Wiggins. I don't know about that, because what's his value? Who really wants that? He's making like 30 million a year. It's just a really bad contract. Saric maybe is like a piece in a trade. I don't think he'll get traded. Draymond not going to get traded. Pods probably won't get traded. I think he's one of the rookies that the Warriors are really going to try and keep because he's been really vital to this team. He really fits the offense well. And of course, when we're talking about these trades, all of the young guys can go. All of the young guys are going to be rumored to go. So you got, Podziemski, Kuminga, potentially could be traded. I thought for sure Kuminga would be traded after he was fed up about not playing, and I believe it was that Nuggets game when Jokic hit the game winner from half. Kuminga was playing good that game, and then I think he didn't play the 4th, so he was like mad kind of at Steve Kerr, like thinking like, what else do I need to do? Like, I'm playing good, and then you just stop playing me and we lose. So I thought after that, like, maybe Kuminga could go because there's a little bit of, not anger, but you know what I'm saying? A little frustration there. Chris Paul is a piece that I think will probably be moved, not because you want to move on from him, but because of like the contracts. If you're going to trade for a star, Chris Paul's making I don't know what he's making, 30 something million. It just lines up, and he's going to be that piece that will probably be needed you know, in order to make the trade work money wise. Moses Moody could potentially be traded. He's another guy that I think is really good, and sometimes Steve Kerr just doesn't play him. We've been seeing Moody play a little bit more lately, but Steve Kerr, I don't know, some games he just doesn't play him. Trace Jackson Davis, another guy you could trade. Of course, all these young guys can go. It's just a matter of who do the Warriors want to move on from. I don't think they'll trade Looney. GP isn't going to get traded. You know, maybe you trade Gui Santos or Lester Quinones if you can find anything for him. Jerome Robinson literally missed a wide open layup last game when he finally got some playing minutes. So, I mean, you could trade him for a bag of peanuts if you want. So let's talk trades. The Warriors have a lot of problems. If you watch this team, you know, offensively, they have some problems, but at least in my opinion, the main problem is defensively. This team really has no defense. And again, after they played the Raptors, which of course Siakam is on the Raptors, it seemed like they couldn't get a stop if their life depended on it. Siakam would fix some of their problem, especially with their interior defense. I know he's not the, you know, the biggest. He's not like a center stopper. I mean, he's a power forward, but he's 6'8". That would help the interior defensive problems for the Warriors. He's a really good defensive player. He's also a good passer. The Warriors pass a lot with their offense, so that fits. However, he's not a good three-point shooter. Obviously, almost all the Warriors except like Looney, and I mean, there's a few that just can't really shoot. Siakam wouldn't be able to shoot, so that is one downside. I don't think there's going to be one player that you bring in that just fixes every problem that the Warriors have. I really don't, and we're going to talk about a few players. A lot of them have been rumored to be traded to the Warriors, but I do have one sleeper player that people really aren't talking about. Also, if you haven't been keeping up with the Raptors, it's becoming very clear that they are going to trade Siakam before the trade deadline, which is kind of approaching kind of fast here. Siakam's on the last year of his deal, making $37 million. They obviously just traded OG, brought in some younger pieces with, you know, some more years. They're trying to kind of do not a rebuild, but maybe like a retooling. Siakam, teams are reaching out for him. The Raptors are reaching out to teams. It's kind of heating up, and it's just a matter of where will he land. It's not really a matter of if they'll trade him at this point. I feel like it's which team is going to land him. Speaking of some other teams, this tweet came out the other day. The Sacramento Kings are a serious suitor for Pascal Siakam. So that's just one of the many teams that are going to be looking to get him. Of course, he's a star type player, and there's teams trying to win it all, so they're going to try and trade for him. Then a tweet came out about the package. Now, I believe this just dropped like an hour ago, so this is kind of brand new. The Kings package for Pascal Siakam reportedly centered around Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell, and a first-round pick. I had heard that Sacramento talks for Siakam centered primarily around Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell, and a first-round pick or so. Potential draft pick compensation of a first-round variety for Siakam in those talks. Now, apparently the Raptors didn't like respond, or they didn't really get back to him. And then I believe, actually, I don't think I have the tweet, but the Kings ended up backing out of the whole trade completely very soon after. I think the ball was kind of in the Raptors' park, or whatever you want to say. It was kind of their turn to make a move on it, and they just kind of sat on the trade or declined it, I think. And I saw some people, like, it might be down here, like this guy making a meme, the Raptors GM declined the offer, kind of calling him dumb. But I don't know if I'd really take this. I mean, it's an expiring Pascal deal, but you're getting Barnes, Huerter, Davion Mitchell, like some solid players, and a first round pick. I mean, it's not like a fleece if they accepted this, but if I'm the Raptors, I'm trying to get a player that has some like star potential. Like with the Warriors, I think they should definitely go for Kuminga. Now, are the Warriors going to give up Kuminga though? This is a new article that dropped on Bleacher Report by Tyler Conway about the whole Kuminga situation and the, you know, Siakam trade rumors and stuff. Because again, that game against the Nuggets, at least for me as a Warriors fan, when we already had these trade rumors going on, and then Kuminga got a little fed up at his playing time, I was like, all right, yeah, if he's going to get frustrated, obviously you talk things out and you see what could happen, but he might be a piece that they trade now if he's not happy with the organization. But as you can see here, and I don't know if this is smoke screen, so I don't know if this is all true. They're just trying to pump up his value, but it says Kuminga may not love his inconsistent role in Golden State, but he reportedly still has plenty of fans in the Warriors front office. There are higher ups in the organization who are infatuated with Kuminga and are not ready to part with him. I think he's the guy. You have Podziemski. I mean, Pods is probably the top of the chain right now of like young players they wouldn't want to move. That's kind of like a newer thing though. Kuminga is like second, I would say, of like players you don't want to move on from, or maybe he's first, I don't know. But I would say that's 1 and 2 that they don't want to move. And then you guys can see to go on that they talk about the potential trade for Siakam where Kuminga would be the centerpiece. If I'm the Raptors, I'm saying you got to give us Kuminga. I'm kind of forcing that on them. Again, if it's not Kuminga, you look at other teams and you try to get a player that could develop into a star, maybe even a superstar one day. I know I don't want to throw around the word superstar because that's a crazy, thing to put on somebody. So we'll say star potential for Kuminga. You got to get somebody that can develop into something. That's why I don't really like the Kings offer too much. You're getting Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell. I don't think really any of them have star potential. And of course, Harrison Barnes is old now. Kevin Huerter, I don't know his exact age, but he's not really young. Again, with all of these trades, there's not going to be one player that the Warriors can bring in, at least in my opinion, that's going to fix all of their problems. Another guy that's being heavily rumored, to be traded to the Warriors potentially is Lauri Markkanen. Now with Lauri Markkanen, it's not a rental. It's not like a expiring contract. He has a contract for next year. So you'd be getting the end of this year, and then also you get another year with Markkanen. And with Markkanen, I feel like he's not as good defensively. He's a little bit taller, so maybe that helps, if he's going to play center. I don't know, because the Warriors tend to run kind of shorter lineups. So, I mean, maybe they'd probably run him at center, Draymond at the 4. Now with Lauri Markkanen, he definitely fits that Warriors mold of being a good 3-point shooter. He'd fit the offense pretty well if you have Draymond at the 4. Draymond's kind of that guy that goes in the post and kind of is the passer. He does, dribble handoffs and kind of plays like almost like Jokic, kind of passing to the off-ball guys. Obviously, everyone in that offense passes. My thing is you don't really want 2 of the guys on the team that can't shoot, Draymond and Siakam, if they were to go that route. However, Draymond has been shooting pretty good this year. I think he might be shooting over 40%. Still, you don't love it when he shoots, but this is like his best year shooting, and he did just miss like a month. So I don't know what we're gonna get when he comes back. Also, the Warriors offense passes a lot. Markkanen doesn't really pass. Obviously, if he was on the Warriors, I think they would get him to pass more. But with this Markkanen trade, I feel like you're kind of not getting too good defensively. He is 7 feet tall. Are the Warriors going to put him at center? He might get bodied against some of these centers. We probably would against like a Joel Embiid or a Jokic or something like that. So Markkanen's more of a 4. And then if you go the Siakam route, same thing. If you were to play him at center, he'd probably get bodied too. But I don't know. I might trust him a little bit more. Siakam could pass better. Markkanen could shoot better. Markkanen has a little extra on his contract. So you probably got to give up a little bit more to get Markkanen. Now, the Chicago Bulls were rumored to make trades at the trade deadline last year, and they didn't. They were like the only team to not make a trade. This season, they are once again being rumored to make some trades, whether they're going to trade Caruso or they're going to trade Zach LaVine, who's probably, I don't know, Caruso might be a bigger trade target for some teams, but LaVine is also being rumored to be traded. I think those are the top 2 guys, but LaVine, he's a sleeper one. I don't hear too many people talking about him going to the Warriors. Everyone talks about him going to the Lakers, but you guys can see you get him for this year, and then he has 2 more years and a player option. So this isn't like Siakam. This isn't a rental. This isn't, you're just getting him for half a year, maybe going to playoff run and see what happens. This is like you're really committing to him, and he's making over 40 million. In 3 years from now, he's making almost 50 million. Does he deserve that type of contract? Probably not. He doesn't. He really doesn't. So no, he doesn't deserve that type of contract. Are the Warriors going to want to commit to something like that? I don't know, but a reason why they might is because of the contracts they currently have. As I showed you guys before, Andrew Wiggins' contract is crazy. Klay Thompson's contract is also crazy. He's making 43 million. Obviously, he's a vital, piece to this dynasty. You got to pay him to keep him around, keep the dynasty together. He's been picking it up. He started slow, but 43 million is crazy. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is the last year of his deal. And the Warriors are going to be hit with a very tough situation. That's why Bob Myers, in my opinion, moved on, because he knew there were some tough decisions that were going to have to be made, and he would just kind of rather get out of there while he could. So now you got Mike Dunleavy Jr. You're going to have to make some big decisions. I think that the Warriors, unfortunately, are going to move on from Klay Thompson after this year. I know they'd love to keep him, but I think Klay's going to ask for too much money that they can't give, especially when you have this Wiggins contract. You got to pay Curry, Draymond, all these guys. They got some big contracts on this team. I think Klay's going to ask for too much. So if you can manage to trade for LaVine, that'll give you 3 years of LaVine. He could be the new Clay. I guess it's a possibility. No one can really be Clay, but if you're gonna trade for somebody, Zach LaVine, a little bit younger, can shoot really well, not really good at defense, but he's one of the players that can really take that role. So Zach LaVine might be my favorite trade target if I had to pick one, just because he gives you that like future. Like with Siakam, it's like a one and done type of thing. Like he's probably not going to re-sign. You don't know what's going to happen. You only have one shot at it. But if you go with Zach LaVine, and of course they'd probably have to give up more. So I don't know what you'd have to give up. Probably like Kuminga and Moody, and then Chris Paul, and then a first. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. I don't know what the trade package would be, but I know you'd have to give up a lot to get Zach LaVine, because it's going to be what, 3 more years added on instead of just 1 year with, say, Siakam. But also his contract's pretty bad, so maybe you don't have to give as much because his contract's so crazy. And then talking about the other Warriors, Steph Curry after this year has 2 more years, where 2 years from now in 2025, 2026, he's gonna be making almost $60 million, which is crazy. He definitely deserves it. But yeah, this is pretty much it. Curry's 35, about to be 36 in 2 months. This is it. You know, you want to try to build around Curry while you can. Obviously, you care about the future and you care about what's after Curry and what's after this dynasty, but Curry still can do it. He can still get it done. Obviously, he's declined a little bit, but you got to try and push for something while you can, while he's still here. And then Draymond, like Curry, has some years on his contract left over. He's got, you know, 2-3 more years. And down the line, maybe this looks like a crazy deal. But as of right now, I mean, I don't think this contract's too crazy for Draymond. Obviously, if he's going to get into trouble and keep missing games and stuff, then yeah, it's crazy. But I don't know. I kind of believe in him. I'm probably just being a little biased and just being a little dumb. But I believe that he will, for the most part, stay out of trouble for the remainder of, I'm not going to say his career, but, you know, the next season, this season coming up. He's about to return. I feel like he'll be fine. I think he's kind of a smart guy. Sometimes he's just trying to push the limit. He's trying to just get in people's heads and stuff. I don't know. I kind of trust in him to contain himself for the remainder of the season. Last night we had 5 NBA games. A lot of them were kind of like blowouts. The Lakers Raptors game was the closest, and Anthony Davis went for 41, 11, and 6. And I kind of expect this. I put out a tweet right when the game started. I was like, 80's going to torch the Raptors, because interiorly, or whatever, their interior defense is just really not good. They really, I thought, had nobody that could stop him. They came out of the gate, 80 had like 16 points in the first quarter. He was absolutely killing them. And then the Kings versus the Pistons, and Domantas Sabonis had a 37 points triple-double. I'm gonna reply to everybody in the comments below. I want you guys to let me know, what do you think the Warriors are going to do? Maybe we'll come back to this video, see who was right. Do they not trade at all? Do they trade for a small piece? Who is that small piece? If you can name somebody, do you see them trading for Siakam, Laurie, maybe LaVine? What do you think they'll end up giving up? Do they hold on to Kuminga? Let me know what you think the Warriors are going to do. Of course, sub up if you guys have. We're on the road to 2K. Click the video, pop up on your screen right here if you haven't seen it yet.